Give everybody a couple more minutes here.
Good morning.
Good morning.
How are you?
Good. Having some lock file issues right now with the project, but
Oh,
yeah, I used to be able to just unlock files, my own files that I locked, but my own files are not able to unlock. Just kind of frustrating.
uh-oh. Which project?
Newark,
That's weird.
I know. Getting a pretty good turnout for this meeting. That's good. So here. All right, let's go ahead and get started. Announcements for this month, still for you folks that didn't know, Kevin Robinson has moved back into a full-time design position. So he's going to be not in IT anymore. So so he will be a Civil 3D lead as well as all of us. So that's what's happening. Let's see, onboarding for Civil 3D users. Do we have any new users or anyone do you know that needs Civil 3D onboarding? Nobody on this call? Anybody new to our group since our last call? I don't see any new faces here.
Don't think so. Just flipping through. Nope.
Yeah. Okay. All right. We had our first Civil 3D core development training in October in Dallas. It went pretty well. The second one that's coming up in January 26th will be in Raleigh. That'll be at the end of January. So if you're interested in attending that one or know of someone that could benefit, let your manager know so we can get your approval and signed up. Okay. All right. One thing I was going to cover with you guys was the location of our new tips and tricks on Teams under the Hazen BIM civil forums. We have our folders for the monthly meetings. The recordings are here and the agendas are set
Nilza,
by...
can you share your screen?
I am not sharing my screen. Thank you so much. Thought I was sharing. Appreciate that. All right. Thank you, Ryan. Appreciate that. All right, under Teams, under Civil Forum, under Shared Folders, we have our Civil 3D monthly meetings. We have the recordings in the agendas, and they're broken down by year. So this is where we keep our agendas, and the recordings as well. And we have the tips and tricks Excel list and the meeting content. Let's go through the tips and tricks real quick. For those of you who have not seen this before, we have two tabs down here, one with the shortcut commands and the other one with the variables and settings and what they do. Okay. And then we have the meeting content, Excel, which is very handy for those of you who have not seen this. So this is basically by date and all the topics that we are discussing through, the links to the agendas, links to the recordings, and any links to any shortcuts and variables commands. So if you're looking for a particular, how to pressure pipe, curb pipes, or anything like that, this is a good place to start. So I'll make sure that you guys know the new locations of those. Okay. All right. So the first one that we're going to cover today is the file DIA. It's a variable in Civil 3D is to turn on and off your dialog boxes. Sometimes this gets turned off when AutoCAD Civil 3D crashes. So I wanted to share that in case you are in the program and if you type in file DIA, the variable is 1 and 0. 1 turns on your dialog boxes, but if this sometimes jumps to 0, give it a second here. I don't know why it's doing it. Okay. So if you hit like your open icon, you won't see your dialog box. You'll see a command line. It says where to go open your drawing, right? This is the inclination of your dialog boxes aren't working. So file DIA, set that back to 1, and now the dialog boxes work. Okay. Screen share for this month, I wanted to cover creating a minimum cover profile and how we do this at Hazen and setting the style for it and lowering it to the desired depth. This is mostly needed for like water, making sure that you're designing your water profiles to a minimum depth. And so kind of wanted to go through that with you. The commands are all through here, so I'll just walk you through them. If you wanted to go step by step, you can open up this agenda. So let's go through that together here. So if I have a finished ground, right? I'm gonna move my screens here. Give me 1 second. I'm gonna move my properties because I'm gonna need this docked. All right. All right, so I have a finished ground and an existing ground. I am going to select, and these are coming from the surface, by the way. I have an existing ground and a finished ground that are data shortcutted here. So first of all, I want to take my finished ground. I want to use my finished ground to make sure that I'm going a certain distance below. I don't want to use the existing, I want to use the proposed finished ground. So first of all, I want to set that to dynamic. I'm sorry, to static. Dynamic is where the surface will follow, the profile will follow whatever changes are made to the surface. But for temporarily, I need to change this to being static, meaning I can change any VPIs right now, okay? It's gonna give me this window here to be able to modify the profile. So I'm gonna hit Geometry Editor, and I'm going to copy this profile to create the one that I want to lower. Okay, so I'm going to hit OK here. So it's copied the profile right on top of this one. Okay, right now, by having my selection cycling turned on, which I'll go through that with you real quick. If I click on this and make sure my selection cycling is turned on and turned on down here, I can click on the profile and it's telling me that I've got two. If you pick the top one, that's the one you just copied. So I'm going to select that one. And it does. This is giving me the inclination that the copy one is on top. So first of all, I want to change that to be the profile that I'm creating. So I'm going to call this a water dash, give it a name with minimum cover. You can use whatever name you need to here, but the biggest thing is that you want to label it somehow that this is a minimum cover profile, okay? Here is where you want to change the style of it. We have styles for minimum cover. We have existing, new, and minimum cover. That's the style you want to use, okay? While the profile is still selected, so you can see how the style has changed in color. While the profile is still selected, I'm going to select the icon for moving the profile, raising it or lowering it. And here I want to make sure that I am 4 feet below cover. So I'm going to hit -4 feet, okay? And it's going to lower the entire profile 4 feet. Okay, that is my minimum cover for designing this waterline. One thing that we're not done quite just yet here is that the surface profile for proposed ground is still set to static. This needs to be changed back to dynamic so that any changes that are done to the finished ground get updated. If this is not set back to dynamic, these changes won't happen. That makes sense? This one can stay static. If you try and change this back to dynamic, it'll snap it right back to the original elevation. Let's set that. See that? But you'll have to go through the whole commands again of raising it and lowering it. This one can stay static. Okay? Any questions on this?
Not a question, but if you are going to be changing that finished grade often, it's still going to be good to set that back to dynamic and then move it back down so you're getting your most updated offset.
That's true. So if this, what Brent is saying is that if this is changing all the time, set it back to dynamic. It'll snap back to its original and then lower it again. So you can see that you're still below that minimum cover. And this is, I mean, we use this for water, but this really could be for storm, sanitary sewer, any kind of depth that you're trying to be a minimum cover for. That's a good point, Brent. Any other questions here? Okay. Another thing we wanted to cover today was the hatch patterns. We are seeing a lot of hatch patterns on details and so forth with broken hatches. There's a quick and easy way of fixing this. The reason why you see the broken hatches is because it's in architectural units, the concrete is, and all we need to do is just set the origin of the hatch somewhere near. Doesn't have to be an enclosed or object or whatever, just somewhere near where the hatch is at, and it fixes those to be enclosed. Have you guys run into this?
Yeah,
Yes,
not
I've
so much
seen that
here,
frequently.
but
Yeah, we see this quite a bit in details. So that's why we want to make sure that everybody's aware on how to fix that. Okay. All right. And now the third part, Jesse's going to show you using the reference manager to fix broken file paths.
Okay. Everybody got my screen?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. All right. So we're going to talk about broken file paths and how we can change these. I do want to just like preface this with this is not meant to be a tool that we use to cut any sort of corners. This is more of a tool to fix a handful of broken links. But there is a software that can help us with that, and it's outside of the program. So I don't know if anybody has used this, but it's called Reference Manager. So if you have drawings where you've run plain production tools and you need to go back and, readjust your XREFs or anything like that, because the XREFs are broken when you open the drawing, this is a tool to help with that. So what we want to do is go down to our search bar here at the bottom, and we're going to type in Reference Manager. And you should get this pop up. So this window is completely empty right now. We haven't selected anything, but what we're going to do is select drawings that we want to change. So if I know all my grading drawings are, have a broken base file, then I could say add drawings. I'll get another pop-up where I can select as many files as I want to. And for this, I'm just going to use the civil drawings for this project. So I'm just going to select all of them and say open. And it takes it a few minutes to go pull resources sometimes, especially if this is ACC Docs and it needs to go and get the references downloaded. I typically say only first level XREFs because I'm only worried about what's actually in that drawing. And so I'll say only first level XREFs. I select this every single time. You're going to have to reset it if you select it every time you open this app. So up to you. If you plan on doing more than one process, you can set it to that, to default. So it's pulling the files. I've selected 21 drawings that I want it to check XREFs for. So once it finishes processing, and obviously the more drawings you have in here, the more time it's going to take to sync this. You'll notice immediately it gives us a list. We have file name, we have reference name, saved path, found path. So this is what's important. Saved path and found path. the ones that are not resolved, so if I hit status, I'm going to see question mark, right? Or sometimes it shows it as, I'm going to pull up our agenda if I can, pull it over here. Sometimes it shows it as not found. In this case, it's telling me that it found it in a different location, okay? So not found or found in a different location. So I'm going to select the broken ones here. Actually, I'm going to sort by file name for this because I know that it's my SPSNC base file that I need to repath. But it's going to give you everything. It's going to give you shape files. It's going to give you text. It's going to give you plot styles. Now, if you're using a page setup override when you're plotting, you don't need to necessarily be worried about that. I'm mostly looking for XREFs that are broken, right? So these not found are what I need to fix. So we have a saved path and a found path. The found path is missing, which is why it says not found. So if I select all of these and I hold down shift and double click here, it'll get a pop-up box. Okay. And it's telling me that the new saved path, right? So I can now set that. I'm going to go to my project and set it to the new file path location. Going to be my 000 site. Okay. When I hit OK, it will say resolved. You notice it has a little pencil next to it, which I know is hard to see, but the resolved are the ones that it found when it opened these files. The resolved with the check mark with the little pencil is because we haven't applied the changes yet. So we have found the path, we've set the path, and now we can apply the changes. Okay. This is very important. This path is very important when it comes to ECC docs, because if your path says C users in your name, it's going to be broken for everybody else. And if you have that in your case, that means you don't have the current desktop connector folder structure. Does anybody on this call still have a C user and your name path for your desktop connector? There's a quick way to check that before we apply this. If you go to C, you should see an _DC folder. Does everybody have that? If you don't, can you do a little raise your hand or something to let us know so we can get that fixed? Everybody take a second and check that. Okay. If you do, just reach out. But this is important to make sure that this is CDC. At this point, I can apply the changes, and that's going to go and replace this link in all of these drawings. And it's as simple as that. This is a quick way to check and repath your XREFs. Has anybody used this tool before?
I have.
It's handy, right?
Yeah.
Me too.
Good.
Used it after we had to change paths on 100 some sheet files. So it saved a lot of time.
If you split it into phases and you have different folders and now your files have moved around, you can quickly repath them. So
this is to repath, Jesse, sorry.
No, go
this
ahead.
is to repath just the same file name correctly. It's not going to repath a different file name to.
Correct. It would be the
drawings.
same file name. It would be the exact same file name. We're not trying to
Yes.
point it towards another file. That's not what this tool does. It just
Yep.
recognizes broken links and allows you to fix them
Yep.
without having to open a drawing and do it independently. Yeah, that's a good point, Nielsa. Okay, any questions on that? Okay. The next thing we're going to talk about is those lovely U blocks, the asterisk U blocks that happen when we explode Kogo points. So typically, I mean, depending on the size of the project, you could have thousands, right? Identifying these U blocks, we can use the quick select tool for this. And I don't know if anybody has figured out the workaround to grab them all at once, but Paula Glassford and I were on a project and we just kept messing with it. And she finally figured out the code to grabbing all of these at one time. So basically, we would use the quick select over here in our properties. And we would set our object type to block reference, name. Operator is going to be wildcard match. The value is asterisk capital U asterisk. And the capital U is important because if you have a lowercase u in there, it's going to grab any block that has the letter U in it. Okay. So the capital U is important. And what that does is grab all those block references. In this case, I only have 238 U references. And you can go through this process and keep doing it until you don't have any more U blocks in here. Okay. So block reference name, wildcard match, asterisk U, asterisk, okay. And it tells me I have 345. Okay. So you just keep doing that process until you get rid of it, but it's a quick way to get them all out of the way. We want to get it down to these blocks, and then we want to replace those blocks with our Hazen blocks, right? But we can do that once we get down to the same block. Now, we don't want to explode these blocks all the way down to just line work and text. We want to have something that we can swap out, but filtering through those U blocks, we can do that quickly with our quick select tool. So anybody have any questions on that? Okay. All right, Neil, so that's all I had for.
That's definitely a good tool to have.
Yeah, it helps us just go through that process pretty quickly instead of just dragging it on. And obviously you have to grab those blocks and put them on the correct layers, which we have to do anyway when we're doing survey cleanup. But you can do this process a couple of times and then you're down to your blocks. So, okay,
good point.
Thank you.
All right. Now we're open up to discussions, any issues, requests, topics that you want to discuss? Anything you'd like to see in the future? No one? All right. Our next meeting will be Wednesday, January 7th. Thank you for attending.
Thanks, everybody.
All we have for this week, for this month.
Thank you, guys.
Thanks.
Thank y'all. Y'all have a good day.
Thank you.
Bye.
Yeah, thanks so much.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.